So you're looking to record professional quality voiceover and everyone is talking about Reaper, but you've taken one look at it and written it off as way too complicated. But what if I told you that you only need to master 3 simple steps to get clean, professional recordings every single time? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what those 3 steps are, plus a super secret tip at the end for a setup so streamlined that your day-to-day workflow becomes totally effortless. This first step is probably the most technical part, but you only need to do it once, and as long as you do it right, you may never have to touch these settings again. If you haven't done so already, head over to reaper.fm and download and install Reaper. It's a pretty standard installation, so pause the video, go and do that, and we'll jump right into the good stuff. Step 1. Connecting your gear. First things first, make sure that your interface is plugged into your computer and turned on. I'd also recommend having all of the knobs turned down to 0 at the beginning. That'll stop any weird clicks and pops when you plug things in or change settings. And if you're using a USB mic, make sure that it's plugged in. Now you can open up Reaper. The first thing you'll see is this dialog box encouraging you to buy Reaper. And while you do get, and I quote, 60 days of evaluation free with full functionality and no strings attached, and you can just close the dialog box and continue using Reaper for free, it really is more than worth the measly $60 for the full license. But for this demonstration, I'm going to continue with the free evaluation version. Once you're in, you need to open Preferences. So if you're on a PC like I am, you can head up to Options, Preferences, or just hit Control-P on your keyboard. On a Mac, I think you'll find it under Reaper Preferences, or you can just use the keyboard shortcut Command-P. By the way, Reaper is full of amazing keyboard shortcuts, all of which are more than fully customizable. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Pretty much any global setting you'd ever want to change lives inside this Preferences menu. So once you're in, look on the left-hand side under the Audio tab and click on Device. This is where you tell Reaper what hardware you're using. Now listen up, Windows users. Your most important setting here is Audio System, and you're going to want to select ASIO, which means Audio Stream Input Output. Below that, you need to choose your ASIO driver. ASIO drivers are the link Windows needs between the hardware and the software. My audio interface is the Steinberg UR44, and I've already been onto their website and downloaded and installed the necessary ASIO driver. It's pretty straightforward, and the guide on the website tells you exactly what to do, and this is true of pretty much any interface. So as long as you've got your interface fully installed, you can go ahead and choose your ASIO driver from the drop-down menu. Now, I've got a whole bunch of drivers here, but my interface is this one, the Yamaha Steinberg USB ASIO. If you're using a USB mic, you might need to install a universal ASIO driver called ASIO for All, which you can see here in my drop-down menu. It's completely free to download from asioforall.org, and you just follow their instructions to install it. Next, make sure that your inputs and outputs are enabled by first checking the Enable Inputs box and selecting your inputs from the first and last drop-down menus. As you can see, I like to enable all the available inputs from 1 first to 6 last, even though I'm only using one of them, just to be on the safe side. But when it comes to outputs, I only enable the left and right stereo outputs, left as the first and right as the last, to avoid any confusion later down the line. For Mac users, life is apparently much simpler. You just select your device from the Audio Device drop-down menu and you're good to go. As you can see, I'm a Windows user, so if I'm wrong about this or any other Mac-specific details, please let me know in the comments. Next up, you want to check the Request Sample Rate box and set this to 48,000, meaning 48,000 Hz or 48 kHz as it's more commonly known. Trust me on this. While 44.1 kHz is the default and is fine for music, 48 kHz is the standard for anything that touches video, which is most voiceover work. Then hit OK. Now, if you're using an audio interface, which I highly recommend you do, now's the time to head over to your hardware. Make sure your mic is plugged in snugly into input 1 on your interface. You can actually plug it into any input, it won't change the quality of the audio, but plugging it into input 1 just keeps things nice and neat and makes it easier to work with later when you create your first track. Also, if you've got a condenser mic like mine, don't forget to turn on that phantom power. Mine is this button that says plus 48V or 48 volts. Yours might say 48 or 48V or Phantom and could be on the front or on the back of your interface. This will give your mic the power it needs to actually work. If you've got a dynamic microphone, you don't need to worry about phantom power. Next up, let's set your gain. The gain knob controls how high the microphone signal is before it even gets to your computer. A good starting point is to crank the knob to about the 3 o'clock position. Then, speak into the mic as if you're delivering a line and watch the little lights on your interface. This also might look different depending on your interface. You might have 3 lights, green, yellow and red. If you do, then you want to keep it solid green, maybe just kissing yellow on your loudest words but never hitting the red. If you only have one red LED like my interface, then make sure it never lights up. Red warns you that your audio is clipping, which means that the signal going through the interface is too high or too hot, and that will create digital distortion on your recording that you cannot get rid of later on. So if you are hitting a red light, simply adjust your gain knob until it's just right. A quick note on gain. Gain is not volume. Gain is the level of the signal going through the hardware. Volume is how loud you make it once it's been turned into audio that you can hear. FYI, both Windows and Mac have got a bit protective over microphones recently. You might need to dive into your system security or privacy settings and manually give Reaper permission to use your microphone or audio interface. It's a common gotcha that might leave you wondering why you're not getting any signal. And the hard part is officially over. Your hardware and your software are now besties and should play nicely together. Step 2. Setting up a track. Okay, now that Reaper knows where to listen for your voice, you need to give that voice a place to live. And in the world of audio, we call this a track. There are a few ways to create a track in Reaper. You can either go to the top menu and click Track, Insert New Track, or just double-click in the big empty grey area on the left, or hit Ctrl-T on your keyboard, Command-T on Mac. Et voila! A new track appears. This is where your recording lives. First, give it a name so you stay organised. Just double-click the window and call it something obvious like VoiceOver. Getting into the habit of naming tracks as you go will save you endless headaches later. Now look at all the buttons on your new track. The one you care about is the big red one, the Record Arm Disarm button. You have to click this to arm the track. This doesn't start the recording, it just tells Reaper that this is the track you want to record on. Once it's armed, you should see the little meter next to it begin jumping up and down as you speak. You can also make the track a little bigger by dragging the bottom edge to where you want it, and this also makes it easier to see what the meter is doing. This is your confirmation that everything is connected correctly. This is the beautiful sight of your voice flowing into your track. If you don't see the meter moving, first double-check the track input. There's a little drop-down menu that should say Input 1 or something similar. This is why you plugged your mic into Input 1 earlier. If you plugged it into a different input, you're going to have to find that input from this drop-down menu. If you're still not seeing anything, then I would go back through the process and make sure you haven't missed anything. At this point, I'll give you a quick tip to make life a little easier. Change the ruler from Made for Music to Made for VoiceOver. All you do is right-click the ruler up here and change it from measures and beats to minutes and seconds. And this should automatically change the time clock at the bottom here. But you can check that by right-clicking it and making sure it's set to Use Ruler Time Unit. And that's it for this step. Seriously, you now have a named, armed track that is primed and ready for your performance. Step 3. Recording and rendering. It's showtime! This last step is all about the performance. Recording, listening, saving, and rendering. Now, before you say a word, put your headphones on. Some might say this is non-negotiable, and it lets you catch any weird noises in real time, and more importantly, it stops your speakers from blasting audio back into your mic, creating a horrible feedback loop. But you don't actually need to wear them to record, and many people don't. Personally, I have one ear on and one ear off most of the time, so I can hear my voice in the room as well as in the headphones, but I do wear them properly when listening back. Depending on your mic and interface, you'll either plug your headphones into your interface, into your mic, or directly into your computer, and you might even be able to hear yourself already. On my Steinberg UR44, I can hear my voice from the interface before it goes into the computer, and I have an independent volume control for the headphones. Your interface or USB mic might have a similar option. If you can't hear yourself, you can enable record monitoring by clicking this little speaker icon here. But be warned, you might get a slight delay depending on your setup. As you're speaking, try to stay a good distance from the mic. A hang 10 is about right, and keep one eye on the track meter. You want to keep the level between about -18 and -12 dB. If it's too high or too low, you can go back and adjust the gain knob accordingly, or simply move further away from or closer to the microphone if you feel you need to. To start recording, you don't click that red button on your track again, that just arms the track. Instead, look for the main transport controls, which are usually sitting down here above the mixer. You see the big round red record button, just like on an old school tape deck? Hit that and you are officially recording. Or you can just hit Control-R or Command-R on Mac. As you're speaking, you should see the audio appear like magic as a beautiful waveform in the track. And when you've nailed the take, hit the stop button or the space bar to stop recording. To listen back to your recording, just hit play or the space bar. The space bar is your universal play-stop button. Alright, you've recorded the perfect take. Now let's save your work and render it to a file you can download and listen to. First of all, save your work. To save this whole project, go to File, Save Project, or hit Ctrl-S, Command-S, and give your project a name and decide where you want to save it. This saves all of your tracks, all of your settings, and all of your edits inside a Reaper file, which you will see as an RRP file, and you can come back and tweak this anytime you like. And now it's time to finally render your recording. Rendering creates your final audio file that you can listen to on your phone or email to someone. There are a few ways to do this, and in future videos I'll show you how to streamline this process even further, but for now I'll show you the easiest way. And speaking of making things easy, if this video has helped you cut through the noise a bit, could you do me a huge favour and hit the like button? And please consider subscribing if you don't want to miss out on what's next. I'm always putting out videos to help you level up your audio game, as well as other voiceover related content. And if you're stuck on anything, please drop your questions in the comments below. I do read every single comment, and I'm here to help. Right, let's turn this into a WAV file. All you do is go to File, Render, or hit Ctrl-Alt-R or Option-Command-R on Mac, and the Render dialog box will open up. For now, we'll change as few settings as we need to, so just make sure that you have Master Mix here and Entire Project here. Then go to Directory and hit Browse, then Browse for File to choose where you want to save your render. Reaper will name it with the same name as the project. Change that if you want, and hit Save. You can change that file name here as well. Let's quickly change it from stereo to mono because VoiceOver is almost always rendered in mono. Reaper automatically renders to WAV by default, and we'll leave it at that for now. Hit Render, and you're done. Once Reaper has done its thing, click Open Folder, and you'll see where your rendered WAV file lives in all its glory. OK, let's step back and take a look at what you've done. You've dialed in your mic and audio interface so they play nicely with Reaper. You've created a brand new track, you've named it, got everything ready to record. And you've recorded your voice, you've remembered to save it, and you've rendered your recording as a WAV file that you can take with you and listen to anytime, anyplace, anywhere. And that's it. Those are the only technical hurdles you need to clear for a perfect recording every single time. But here's the real game changer. Richard's top tip. This is the secret trick that will make this entire process effortless from this moment onwards. Listen carefully. You're going to save this entire setup as a project template. First, delete all the audio you've just recorded. Then go to File, Project Templates, Save Project as Template. Give it a simple name like My VO Template. And then, and this is the real magic, go back into Options, Preferences, Project, and set that new template as your default project. Browse to that template file you just created and hit Open. Then, and this step has saved me on multiple occasions, check the box Prompt to Save on New Project. Then go to the General tab at the top, go to the open Projects on Startup drop-down menu and select New Project. Hit Apply and OK. And from this day forth, every time you open Reaper, it will automatically ask you to save your new project, and then it will load your voiceover track already named and armed and ready to go with all of your device's settings locked in. This one-time setup you've just created is now your forever workflow. And just like that, you've taken this intimidating, music-focused beast of a program and turned it into a lean, mean voiceover machine that's built just for you. So stop fighting the software and go and focus on what actually matters. Your performance. Happy recording. Oh, and YouTube thinks you might like to check out this video.